It's only sport with Martin Devlin on the platform. Brought to you by One New Zealand. Let's get connected.
Greg Martin joins us. Always a pleasure, mate, to talk to you on the back of a Wallabies win. And doesn't matter that it was scratchy versus the Argentinians.
Thank you. That's good feedback from you. Yes, we'll take the win, but we were very ugly. And the best team didn't win. I reckon Argentina had us the whole game, and we just squeaked in at the end. But they had a few beers after the game, and that's been a rarity in the Rugby Championship. We didn't win one last year, did we?
No.
So we're happy. We're happy, and things are coming together nicely. We all love Joe Smith, so we'll see how we go. But we know our place in the world. We're ninth, and any win's a good one for us.
Well, when you say that, you know, the best team didn't win, I think for most All Blacks fans, we probably feel the same way about what happened in Joburg, given the fact for 62 minutes we looked like world champions, mate.
Yep, you sure did. That was an unreal game. It was what we expected, mate, the replay of the World Cup, and to come down to those last few minutes. Fabulous. I loved it. Rugby. Beautiful. Yeah,
so, and it contrasts to styles. Do you like that as well? Because, you know, and just in terms of trying to outpace them and outplay them, you know, as I say, for an hour it worked, and then all of a sudden we kind of unravelled with a terrible kicking game in the last 20 minutes.
Yeah, I know. You're not the best All Blacks team there's ever has been, whereas this is. If this isn't the best South African team, so to match it and almost beat them, you're in a good place. So I wouldn't be too disappointed.
Oh, stop that for a second, mate. I mean, good God, you're Australian. There's only one word that counts, and that's win. Since when did you go all soft?
Since I've been a Wallaby fan, since the 99 World Cup. Yeah. How long it's been since we won the Bledisloe? Yes, it's been 21 years.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't got a lot to crow about, so I'm an All Black supporter, you know.
I know that. Hey, this whole idea of bringing back the tours, now I know they're not going to be the same as when they were around in your day, which is a shame, and like when teams tour New Zealand, they're going to play the Super Rugby franchise sides, big yawn, as opposed to playing the Taranakis and the Southlands, or going down to mid-Canterbury like you did, or South Canterbury, where Horan threw rocks on the roof at Timaru, but we don't talk about that. But just the idea...
Wait,
the idea of tours, mate, you've been on them. How good are they?
Exactly. They are the greatest thing because the two things, you build the camaraderie. Going away for 1 week and playing a test in South Africa or Argentina or New Zealand, yeah, righto, you think you're tight, but you spend 6 weeks on a bus and play every Wednesday and every Saturday, and you're driving around New Zealand on a bus, or you're driving around South Africa and short flights and stuff. You're together. You've had a few drinks and people are farting and everything else. That's what brings football teams together. They talk about culture. There's no better way to build culture than to spend 4 to 6 weeks on the road. You get to know people real well.
Greg, do you think it would be the same these days, though? Because when you did it, you were isolated, you were together, you were in a foreign country. You might have called home on the payphone once a week or something like that. But with the technology and the social media and that, and the fact that the younger generations can't keep away from their phones, would it be the same?
I would hope to think. All right, so Wayne Bennett, he might be the second or first best coach ever in the NRL. He doesn't let players have their phones, and I think this is what a lot of them do. In the dressing room, I reckon they should shut them off like we should do with the kids. We've got to work out a way of kids to get off social media. I reckon we need to get football players off it too, because otherwise you're looking down at your phone and not talking and building, well, let's call it culture. You're not building culture if you're looking at your phone thinking about yourself. And I talk about the Broncos in this regard. They're more worried about their Instagram fans, the numbers on the Instagram, than they are about dealing with each other. They've made it an individual sport. It's a bloody team sport. It's one of the great team sports, and they're not focusing on it. Do you know that as of today, or might be tomorrow, it'll happen in the next 24 hours if it hasn't already, Reece Walsh has more followers on Instagram than the Broncos. Is that not a worry? That's one of the big worries to me.
That's the way of the world, isn't it? And the way that fans look at it these days, the younger generation, I keep saying it, God, I sound old when I say it, but it's true that they support a player as opposed to a team. You see this a lot with the NBA, where it's kind of like, oh, I like LeBron, I go to that team because LeBron's on that team, I go to that team, as opposed to committing your whole miserable life to a bunch of sad losers that is a team.
Well, that's for fans, but you take the other side, you've got to if you're in a team, you've got to stop worrying about yourself, You've got to make it about the team. And social media doesn't allow you to do that because you're always thinking about yourself. Me. What can I do again? What can I do today to make myself look good? Now, when you're in a team, we're all in this together. I don't know. I know I'm an old fella too, but somehow you've got to put the foot down, especially if you're paying people. You go, listen, go and bugger off somewhere else if you don't think you'll want to be part of this team. If you want to use the team's brand and everything else to help yourself, you're not in the right thing. You should be playing golf.
Marto is with us, Triple M Breakfast host out of Brisbane, of course. When you're on that bus and you're travelling around on the tours, did it still used to have that back seat thing whereby you kind of little fanny backs played up the front, and then if you wanted to actually test yourself, you tried to get down the back onto that back seat?
Yeah, and you'd usually get bashed, or they'd invite you in, the props and horses, and sometimes a cheeky halfback would be up there. You'd go, they'd go, oh, come on down the back, and then all that would happen, it would be a trap. And that'd be hilarious when you got bashed by 4 and 5 members of your own team. See, that's culture. Isn't that culture to go, oh, what about the day? Now he's part of it. We bashed the crap out of him. I know that's caveman-like, but that's what builds a team.
Well, this is what people are struggling to get their heads around this. But, men, look, we haven't really moved on a lot from when we were Og and Zorg playing a game called Rock in the Cave, have we? And those most basic tenets of what being a male is about that, because you have to lose everything about yourself or all your ego or all the things that you're embarrassed about, because everyone's got them and everyone's embarrassed. But when you're all together, this is why you all shower and bathe together, isn't it?
Well, sometimes that leads to embarrassment, but yes, you're exactly right, mate. You've explained it magnificently. You have to give of yourself for the team. And, mate, I don't think it's happening. It's definitely not happening. I remember when Australian rugby had a bit of a problem. They had what they called the three amigos. They had Curtly Beale, they had James O'Connor, and they had Quade Cooper. All thought they were better, and whoever was coaching, I think Robbie Deans was in the middle of that as well, he let them get away with it. And if you let anyone in the team get away with standards that don't represent your team, you're in trouble. And I'll go back to the Broncos. Maybe the Warriors are the same. No, Warriors look all right. Broncos are it, mate. They're letting the individual do things that don't obey the team standards, and that's when you're in trouble. When you let your star player do whatever they like, you're in strife.
Is Kevin Walters going to keep that job?
Yes, for probably 12 weeks next year, and if they're not coming in the top 4, he will lose the job to Michael Maguire, the New South Wales coach, which would be good too for Queensland, because it would mean that...
Oh, here we go.
Let's say
right.
If the Broncos only win 6 out of the first 12 games, they'll probably punt Kevy, and they'll put in Marge Maguire, which will mean that New South Wales won't be able to get ready for Origin properly because they will lose their coach. So it's a win-win.
Final question for you. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Kid LAROI.
Kid LAROI. Kid LAROI who?
I'm glad you say that, because Kid LAROI has been lined up to do the pre-match entertainment at the grand final. He is a 20-something-year-old rap star from Australia, apparently, who lives in LA. Yeah. Are these people morons? Do they not know who's in the crowd, who that audience is? Why don't you just have one of your brilliant Aussie rock bands banging out 5 or 6 of their most mega hits and getting the crowd thumping that way? What a dumb idea.
Thank you. What a dumb idea.
It's Only Sport with Martin Devlin on the platform. Brought to you by One New Zealand. Let's get connected.